Today on Dirty Laundry, we have Sean Valentine and Ryan Osbourne from I Do Prenup. They are here to talk all things prenup, how to get it done quick, easy, and without breaking the bank. So welcome, Sean and Ryan. We're here to talk about prenups.
Yes.
Which, do they even call them prenups in Canada, or they call them marriage contracts?
They technically call them marriage contracts and cohabitation agreements.
Why can't we have the fancy name?
Well, it's actually under the umbrella of a domestic contract, which is also a separation agreement as well.
Yeah.
But we just call them prenups to make it easy for everybody.
Everybody just calls them prenups.
How often are people doing it?
I mean, all the time if you're a family lawyer.
Yeah. You get a lot of prenup work.
All the time. It's getting super common
Good.
with like millennials, Gen Z. There's less of a weird taboo about it, more of a like understanding that this is a beautiful romantic thing.
Right.
But it also has economic consequences. It's also a partnership. What better to do in a partnership than to actually talk about your finances and come up with a plan? So more and more, there's a big cultural, I think, shift towards doing them. So yeah, we get a ton of younger people that've got money from parents who want to help them buy a house. It's often the only way in Canada these days.
Especially in Toronto, yeah.
So it tends to be a fairly easy conversation for those, but it gets obviously more complicated from there.
Second relationships too.
That's probably like you're older and wiser, or you have something coming into maybe a second relationship.
You've got
obligations to your kids, or you're paying child support from the other kids, and then you've got it.
Well, like maybe you're divorced or widowed. You've got the house or the cottage or some savings, and the idea is that the law might include those things in division in your new relationship, but you intended for those things to be protected for your kids, grandkids, whatever, or even just split up amongst all those people. So it's very common as well.
What would you say to someone who's not getting a prenup? Nah, we're in love. We don't need it.
I'd say at least get some education on how the law applies to your situation. That's always the most sort of shocking piece when people are like getting divorced. Like, I had no idea. It was like, you got married and the law imposed a contract on you, and now you're saying you don't like the terms. Right? Like, the contract or the terms that the law imposes on you might actually work for you. They might be totally fine. I have lots of people that come and they say, oh, we just want to share everything that we accumulate together after marriage. I'm like, great, you don't need a contract.
Yeah. Right.
But a lot of people don't even know that because they haven't looked into it, they haven't had the conversation. It's not for everybody, but at least do a little bit of research, talk about it, decide.
Who is it not for then?
I mean, anybody really can get one.
Like, I think it is almost for everyone.
It almost should be ubiquitous.
I think
everybody
so too.
Should really think about it, even at a minimum, having the conversation, because that's something we talk about a lot, is just having that open dialogue about assets, debts, roles and responsibilities through the relationship. I think even just opening that dialogue up for people is so much different than what we were doing with our parents' generations. And so really anybody can have one.
There is value for everyone, even if it's just an opening of the book and a sharing of information.
Right. A conversation.
What I have, what are my values?
Yeah.
And you might find something like, oh, well, just in case there's an inheritance and just in case we do this, then we know that hypothetically we're, protected. It's fairly abstract, but there is value in those things.
Yeah. Well, it's you're setting intentions when things are good. And I think that's actually the better time to do it. Let's make a plan while we are in this honeymoon phase, while we do love each other, while we do want to share everything. And so that when you are in conflict at the end, it's not like, oh, I hate you, I'm going to try and withhold.
And then you're shocked that, like, I've had a few clients who they put their inheritances into the family home.
Most do. Because again, how else do you buy a home?
Right. But then they're surprised when it doesn't get excluded in the same way. And I'm like, well, you should have done your research.
And so do you find when clients come to you to do a marriage contract, it is sort of the first time they're really having some of these major conversations together? And I guess you can't really represent both.
Oh, right. They each need their own.
So they each have their own. So you're really not having a conversation.
Totally depends.
Okay.
I've done consultations where both people show up on the Zoom screen. And I'm like, okay, wasn't expecting to meet spouse today.
Right.
And
how does that work for
I mean, we have to be a little bit sort of careful. We have to be a little bit careful.
Kind of an education session.
Okay.
So, I do my CYA, cover your ass, spiel at the beginning. I was like, I can only be the lawyer for one of you and, yada, yada. If the other person, you want the other person to be here, that's totally fine. But you obviously waive your blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, for sure. We've talked about everything. Of course, we're both here together. And we already know what we want. And then I'm really just sort of saying, well, what about this? What about that? And then reminding them or educating them on things that they maybe didn't know about. And then they're like, okay, great. We're going to talk about it and we're going to let you know what we want. That's magical. That actually happens.
Sounds like a dream.
That actually happens a lot for me. Every once in a while, I get someone who's like, my spouse doesn't know I'm talking to you. Do you have advice on like broaching that conversation? She's super against marriage contracts, but my parents won't give me the money unless I have one. And then I'm, working on the terms. Those are fairly straightforward, but a lot of what I'm doing is like coaching on like communication and emotional intelligence type stuff, which is also super fun actually.
Yeah, I touched upon the most interesting one too, is when grandma and grandpa are the people that are pushing it. Right. So both spouses really don't care so much about this, but the family money is coming into it to say, listen, I want this asset protected. And so that's an interesting conversation to have when two people are kind of disinterested in the process also.
The kids, right? And the parents, right? The grandparents are the ones who have the money, who are investing the money, want to protect their money.
Which makes sense.
Which does make sense.
Sometimes there's an additional like layer of separation. Some people have like offices that run their family money.
Like a family trust or something?
Like a family trust or a single family office. And there are multiple generations of family that just kind of do what the advisors tell them to do. And the advisors are always saying, go get a prenup. So when grandma and grandpa are wanting to give money to the grandkids, there's now like 3 degrees of separation between the money and the kids. And it's like an accountant or a wealth manager is saying, here, you got to go do this. Which is actually kind of great because it's like an easy scapegoat. Well, this guy said I had to do it. You know what I mean?
Well, also like if you have cousins and siblings who are involved in the family business, you're also protecting them as well. It's not just about your interests.
It's just, like identify what all these interests are and talk about them as the biggest value to
I would imagine though that the ones that are coming from a trust or a family office, like you called it, they're not actually then having these helpful conversations. Like I think for me, the thing I love about a prenup or a marriage contract is it forces you to talk about these things. So like when I talk to couples before they've gotten married, I'm always like, okay, are you going to plan on having children if, the things align, whatever. Thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to say. And it's like, oh yeah, of course. Oh, who's going to stay home from work? And it's like these assumptions that are made, which like the feminist in me likes to push, the envelope and be like, oh, which one of you is going to, take a step back on your career? And the look in their eyes is always such shock. And I'm like, you've not had these conversations and you're about to get legally married. Like it's, so
and make a child together
and have a child. So I just think like what I love about that is then it affords me the opportunity to then force them into this conversation or like kind of kickstart it.
Just like think about it and talk about it.
Just have a couple of questions.
However awkward you might feel.
It's awkward.
Well, that's the thing.
I think people are afraid that if they have the conversation, if they then they're not going to go through with the wedding.
Or plants a seed that there's maybe not.
Exactly. It's sort of
not all in.
Prophecy of having, well, what if it doesn't work out? Do you often see it where it blows up a marriage or like a impending marriage? Or is that something that like maybe only celebrities, we see that in the news?
No, we definitely see it. I think one of 2 ways that you can do it is that they just stay in a common law relationship and they don't necessarily get married.
Right.
But the other option and where you two actually come in is you can mediate a marriage contract, right? You can have those conversations and you can open up Pandora's box, have those conversations, discuss things, and maybe try to bridge the gap where you can find some type of resolution and then bring it back to us to draft it.
Not wanting to blow up your scheduled wedding is a super valid fear to have. But like, do you want to deal with this thing now that's going to blow up your relationship at some point? Like, or like it's gonna happen.
Right.
If you don't, like, if there's my theory is that there are a few things that results in separation ultimately. And one of them are resentments that build. Like each enormous like piece of resentment started off as a little seed.
Yep.
Like it was my night to go out and you stayed extra late at your work party and I didn't get to see my friends who I only see twice a year. 20 years from now becomes, you never cared about like my stuff. So unless you had that conversation at the time, it's not going away. Same thing. If you've got concerns about these things, they're not going to go away just because you had the great party and the wedding and everything. So if it results in the end of your relationship, like that really sucks, but it would have anyway.
And I'm tempted to say that it would have, regardless if you had a prenup or not. You know,
just,
like if that's how you're entering, because relationships are hard and it is a death by a thousand cuts.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing with prenup is like the divorce rate is actually lower amongst people with a prenup. There's like anecdotally, our theory is like, well, that's because you actually talked about these things.
Yes.
Right. There's no surprises.
You've laid out the expectations. You're able to have those conversations.
And you know also what separating actually means,
Mm-hmm.
right? You actually know what you're going to be entitled to, what your lifestyle would be like. And so you actually can make that decision with information, rather than some people who don't have a prenup have no idea what they're entitled to.
Or no idea how to set themselves up, and thus the resentment, right? So if you put your inheritance in the matrimonial home and now you've lost half of your inheritance to your soon-to-be ex, you could have avoided that, or you could have had a conversation about what that looks like.
Exactly. I mean, you made a comment earlier, Alex, about being intentional. And I always, that's one of my like shticks in the meetings is like, we're setting you up to make intentional decisions. Yeah. So we put this agreement in place. Yeah, you're kind of thinking you'll never look at it. But actually, whenever you like buy a new thing or get an inheritance or have some big event happen, that's your opportunity to be really intentional. So is this something that I want to share? Yeah. If so, dump it in the matrimonial home. Yeah. A lot of people want that.
Yes.
Right. A lot of parents who are gifting money to their kids intend for it to be split. That's totally fine. But at least you're thinking about it, talking about it, making an informed, conscious, intentional decision.
You're making those decisions as a partnership. And like that's actually important, right?
I was gonna say it's the first real adult decision that you make together.
Joint decision.
Right? Like I think of the people, the kids in their 20s who are getting married and maybe parents are giving them some money and then they have to go through this financial disclosure prenup process. It's the first real decision that they have to make sort of together as adults that sort of sets them up for those future discussions, which is a good thing, I think.
It's great. It's super fun.
It's so fun.
In your 20s.
It's great to talk about like your student loans. And
I was actually going to say it's super fun in your 20s to like move in together and like travel together. But it's like a totally different thing to be like, here's how we get a mortgage together and here's who's going to stay home when there are kids and whose career. And like, I'm also going to not be around because I'm going to be a trial lawyer and I'm going to work 2,000 hours a year or whatever. Like you're cool with that, right? To raise two kids at home. Like, okay, great. Like, you know, like those are, you know, it's a little different from like, let's just move in and life's going to be amazing.
Right.
You know, it's like, it will be.
Yeah.
But also you have to work on making it happen.
And I think the majority of people are coming in with nothing, right? With maybe student debt or something. Not a lot of folks are being gifted a down payment or some inheritance. Is it still worthwhile? Do those folks still need? Like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, does a prenup always have to be about like historical or like something coming in, or can you actually make a thoughtful plan about how you plan on dealing with your finances throughout the marriage?
Yeah, it's not just about what you're coming into the marriage with or even just a relationship. It can look ahead and you can kind of outline if something was to happen and you accumulated wealth throughout the relationship, how it gets divided. Right. So you can, look ahead and plan for that. It also can talk about spousal support, right? That's something, that you might even not have necessarily had that contemplation of. Yeah. But so even if you're not talking about assets, you might have a difference in incomes, or you might want to lay out the rules that if you guys were to break up, you could talk about, okay, well, is there going to be some type of spousal support entitlement? You can't touch the parenting. You can't touch the child support part of it. That always happens at the time of. But even if you don't come into something, yes, you could still have a prenup that outlines what could happen down the road. You're kind of right, Alex. Is it for everybody? Maybe not. If some people do want to kind of follow the guidelines, there's law, right? There's the Family Law Act. You can go through that way.
Right. That's the backup.
If you don't have anything.
Exactly. It's not like nothing will, you won't have, it's not like you're not
protected.
You're not just kind of waiving rights or anything like that you have, because you have legislation that will give you certain rights and obligations.
Right.
But you can define it on your own terms. And I think a lot of people want that autonomy and they want to be able to actually make those decisions and not necessarily leave it to a judge or politicians to create what you want from your separation.
Yes.
I'm with you. I think one of my favorite approaches to a document like this is to sort of delineate between periods in your life. So the first period being like, we're moving in together. We're excited. We're boyfie or boyfriend girlfriend or like whatever, but also like just in case this doesn't work out, like it's cool. We'll just go our separate ways. No expectations. Cool. Yeah. There's this, and so they actually time limit the agreement. They're like, this thing expires after 3 years or we get married.
Or
And that's sort of like
the ultimatum as well.
It's not one
That's
directional.
It's like either, you know.
But you're both committing to like either we renegotiate, you know, our future together, and we'll have more data by then. We'll know more about our careers and income and things like that. You know, or like we know where we're going to go with the relationship. And if it ends, it ends. It's like we're committing to continuing these conversations. And so, yeah, neither one of them are getting anything out of this cohabitation agreement now because they don't have anything. But there is this sense of like, but I'm so settled and safe in my relationship because we both committed to the next 2 or 3 years looking like this, right? As opposed to like one person like, oh, well, do they want to get married? Do I want to get married? What are we doing? So there's that sense of, I think, of grounding and security that can be really valuable with an agreement like that. Super basic. Just keep your shit. I'll keep my shit.
Yeah.
We'll go our separate ways. We won't like make weird claims against each other, you know, for like the dog or like anything like that. You know what I mean? So.
And so should people be updating these and revisiting? Is that something that you encourage? Like every, you know, couple of 5 years, come back and let's chat?
I think you definitely should be looking at them because your circumstances change.
Yeah.
Typically, I actually really love the idea of time limiting, especially on the cohabitation side.
Yeah.
So sometimes we'll say, okay, this is going to stay valid as long as you guys are not married.
Right.
And if you're married, then this either goes away and you have to renegotiate, or it sticks as a marriage contract. You kind of make that decision on what you want to do.
It can transition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some people are much more concerned while you're just kind of in a common law relationship about sharing some maybe massive wealth that, you know, a family inheritance might be coming down. But once they get married, they're totally fine with it. And they say, listen, what's mine is mine, or what's yours is mine. We're in this as a relationship now. We've agreed to have this partnership in terms of marriage. So maybe we time limit this cohabitation agreement or certain entitlement to it till the marriage date. But I do think that reviewing is really important because you do have that opportunity to look at your circumstances and things that could have changed. You could have gotten a massive promotion. Maybe you had another kid that you weren't expecting, and maybe the roles or the relationship shifts. There are
shit happens. People get sick.
Unexpected inheritances that come up. You know,
you
had an uncle in somewhere far away that you never knew you had.
It's my dream.
You walk into a couple $1 million
to die and leave me all their money. That's my dream.
That it's very possible.
It's not. It's really not gonna happen. But thanks for keeping my dream alive. I appreciate it.
We can say like potty words on this podcast.
Oh, we do. All the words.
I've just been going.
I've
just been going willy nilly.
No, we swear all the time on the show. All the time.
So, would you then theoretically include a clause that might trigger a review, like if your material circumstances changed by X%, or like, would you build that in
all the time?
All the time.
It's super optional. Even the term itself is not a lot of teeth to it. It says like, we'll review, but also if we don't, nothing happens.
Right. Fair. Okay.
I like it as like a piece of relationship advice. Like you should review it. Because you should sort of check in and reaffirm, you know, your roles, responsibilities, expectations. And also, you know, if you want the agreement to be long lasting and to be enforced 10, 20 years from now, like you'll want to make sure that it still applies to those circumstances. Not like we stuck this in the drawer 30 years ago before I decided to leave the workforce and raise your kids. You know what I mean? Like
it's not relevant.
It would be so unfair to follow this that a court, you know, maybe has discretion to get rid of it. But not if you're like, keep updating each other and keep making conscious decisions. And you're like, okay, well, maybe you've left the workforce, but if we were to get separated, it would be devastating on you. So maybe we're going to move some investments into your name. I mean, you can plan, right? So short answer, yes.
Yeah. Review clauses are good. Termination clauses, though, like a sunset clause might be a bit of a question.
Say more about that.
You know, just in the sense of saying that this is going to expire in 5 years. I don't know if I don't know if I love those. I don't know if I've ever really put one in there.
I like them.
And then what?
It depends. It depends.
It's like
it really does depend.
It
depends on the couple. It really depends on the couple.
Fair.
I've had a few where it really is like their shared value is that the longer they're together, the this is a like
joint partnership,
an economic joint partner. Because you know, to this point, like they've done amazing things economically independent of each other. They're just a little different, you know. But over time, that difference melts away. It washes into one. So I've done that actually, where it's like we're completely separate. But if we have kids, spousal support, back on the table.
Yeah.
But also, if we're together for 15 years, it all just goes into the same pot. I don't get my exclusions anymore. It's just like, because we've both been contributing. it's a real appreciation of the joint contributions of value over time. It's not right for everybody though. In that case, those people both made good incomes. They both had sort of expectation of family money. You know what I mean? Like it and that was what they valued in their relationship. But some people need that document to sit in a drawer.
Yeah, exactly.
For a rainy day.
For peace of mind.
Do you, for the most part, do you think people operate in good faith when they come into these prenup discussions, or do you ever see some bad actors?
There's some people that come and try to do this a little bit on the lower end, and just in terms of not giving the financial disclosure.
Okay.
Right. They want to get through this as fast as they possibly can.
Right.
And they probably have all to lose, and the other spouse has everything to gain, and they want to find a way. And 9 times out of 10, I mean, we don't take on those kind of of people. The people that we work with, they want to be fair. They want to be transparent. We always tell our clients that the more you do in terms of the gold standard checklist, check the boxes, the greater it's going to be, hold up to be, valid and make sure that it stands a test of time. The hardest thing that we have to think about is all those little check boxes that need to be in place. And we don't want to work with people, and we advise them that this is not the best case scenario for you. Why would you do this? Not even from a legality perspective, but why do you want to do this with your relationship? Why do you want to hide things from your spouse?
The
Start your relationship,
or like
that
screwing
way.
somebody over with spousal support,
right
that
from
type
the
of
get-go.
right from the get-go.
Exactly. It's not a good way to start.
It's not a good.
I don't want to get dragged into your divorce.
No.
Already.
Right. Like
technically wouldn't be allowed to.
I mean, then there may be suing, but like there may be suing me. You know what I mean? I wish I could include that term, like. You will mediate with these two people.
There you go.
You mutually agree.
But like, so on that point, I've actually only had one case in 6 years, and we do a lot of these agreements where I was like, I can't do this. Like we need to not work together. Because the spouse was like, the disclosure was shady. It was like, I don't like make any money, but I have many properties and many expensive cars. And it was like very shady. And it was like, it was like, sign this or I'm canceling the wedding. That's on Saturday.
Okay. But these things happen. It's like we're days before the wedding, and then the prenup is not signed and the wedding stops.
And my client was like, well, I have family flying in from around the world. Like I can't. And I was like, okay, well, here's the advice then. Don't sign it.
Yeah.
But if you choose to sign it, neither myself nor any lawyer really should be a part of that.
Okay.
So go ahead and sign it on your own.
Right.
Waive independent legal advice.
There you go.
Cover your butt.
I didn't tell her to waive it. Like, because if you put it in there, it makes it seem like she made the conscious decision, or made the conscious decision.
Right.
No names. You know what I mean? And, so basically it was like, leave your best opportunity to argue against this someday on the table, which is like really weird advice to give. We're normally so in favor of these agreements. Let's work together. But this was just like such a shady situation where it's like, I can't. If you sign it, I totally understand why, but here's what you need to do to protect yourself. And otherwise, any awkwardness or difficulty is often born out of just a lot of anxiety, fear. It's like I've seen how this impacted my parents.
Right.
I've seen as a child, like I'm still struggling with this. I'm 40 and I'm devastated from my parents' divorce when I was 9. Like I need this agreement, and maybe they're like super financial types,
right?
And it's sort of harder for them to see the emotional side behind the money. It's just the dollars, So that is trickier, but we can work with that because they're coming to the table with in good faith.
Yeah.
Very rare where it's like this is a shady situation. For us. Yeah. So far.
So you mentioned that a common client would be somebody getting remarried, so maybe a little bit older, kids, etc.
Yep.
How, from a legal perspective, like what if they don't update their will to reflect this prenup, for example, and now the will is contradicting? Like, is there a hierarchy of these contracts?
Yes.
And what is it? Great answer. Appreciate that.
Who gets first charge?
We're supposed to talk on these things.
I think that response might take like 40 minutes to really go through, because there's a lot of contingencies there. It's like, are they divorced? Are they still in a relationship? Do they have a signed separation agreement from the previous relationship? Like there's a whole slew of factors that you would have to look at. Generally, when a will and a cohab agreement are in conflict, that's where litigation ensues, fighting about it to say which one trumps the other. Usually, we're talking, like beneficiary designations on RSPs, TFSAs, things like that. That's a binding contract between you and the company. So if you go there and you have that beneficiary designation, that's going to trump. Usually, again, the will, there is legislation that would presumptively invalidate it if there was a divorce or if there's a separation agreement. But again, that's why I'm saying it's like, what if? There's all these potential scenarios.
It just always scares me with, as parents, our parents' age, get remarried, they're now approaching also their death, and you do see a lot of kids lose out to the new partner, and maybe that wasn't the intent, but things happen, and so
ideally that was dealt with in a cohab,
right? If you have adult children who are waiting for inheritance,
but so even more important for a second marriage or
huge, because now there are like real adults
who are waiting for
who are legitimately
they're planning their life on
unfortunately we shouldn't, but people do, and or they just need help, and these conversations should be had and the plans made. It gets really interesting because the marriage contract or cohab might say that there will be no division of assets in the event of death or separation, but we are free to do whatever we want with our estate plan. And that estate plan might be, I did a will that gave everything to my new wife. She's 30. You know what I mean? And in that case, like the marriage contract actually contemplated that. It was like, if you make a decision to put this in your will, like this agreement doesn't stand in the way of that. So you can do a marriage contract to appease your kids, but your kids don't know what you've done with your will necessarily. So there's a real problem there with the parents if they've promised the kids they're going to be taken care of and they just died.
Every single client I have at the separation stage, I'm always talking about a future relationship. Making sure your will's updated, make sure you have a prenup cohab. Most of them laugh it off. They're like, I'm never getting married again.
They always say that. Like the first
2 years later. 2 years later. Oh, I moved in with somebody and, we're...
The wedding is in 2 days. Please help us out.
Just checking that I'm actually divorced. You did file that paperwork, right?
Just checking. So let's talk I Do Prenup.
Yes.
Love the name. Love the name I Do Prenup. It is an app for prenups. It is tell us about it.
We are family lawyers. We run a family law practice. We also created an online automated prenup. And when I say prenup, I mean marriage contract and cohabitation agreement generating tool.
Love
Amazing.
it.
So the idea is for a lot of people who want a fairly straightforward framework of an agreement, but don't have $3,500 or like 6 months or whatever. I mean, we can do it faster and cheaper because we're really great. But for the most part, we can't control what other lawyers do and all this stuff, yada, yada. But a lot of people just like, it's not that hard. Like, here's how I'll share my financial information and we'll talk about what we want to happen to the house and the pension and whatever else. And then we're pushing buttons and the clauses go into an agreement, and we sort of do our bespoke stuff at the edges. But a lot of situations that people are not paying lawyers for, they're pulling crappy templates online, or they're saying, I've got all this money, but like, I don't want to spend $25,000. A guy who makes almost $1 million, an investment banker. He's like, I don't want to spend the money. Pull a terrible template offline.
Don't trust him with your money.
I'm like, he or she.
Mm-hmm.
It could be anyone.
Them. Yeah.
So them. He, she, they. So it's for people who just don't necessarily want to deal with a lawyer and who still want to do it together.
Right.
So
I like that approach.
Yeah, I mean,
sit down with a glass of wine. Let's do our prenup together.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's make it fun.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
You can literally do it in like an hour to 2 hours.
Okay.
Tops.
Okay, so let's walk us through it. So they input their financial info. Like what? Like how much? How detailed?
You first click on idoprenup.com.
idoprenup.com.
Excellent plug.
And then you go to get started.
Yeah.
And really the idea is that you actually generate your own information first. So one spouse goes on, does a bit of intake, gets some information, extends an invitation to the other spouse, and then they'll do the same thing. They'll make sure they collaborate on the date of marriage or when they're living together, the address, et cetera, like that. Once they have that agreement in place, that information gets populated, and then they do their own financial disclosure. So they go in, they'll fill out what their income is, what kind of real estate they might have, investment accounts, things like that.
Okay.
It's like a box.
Yeah.
It's like, do you have a house?
Right.
No. Okay.
Move on.
Right.
You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
If it's yes, then another box pops up.
Right.
It's like, what's the address?
Yeah.
And another box pops up. Like, what's it worth?
Okay.
So
it's really user friendly.
That was the goal.
We think so.
Yeah. Good.
Well,
Well, because like the law is quite often jargoned and difficult to navigate for the lay
And
person.
intimidating.
Very intimidating, very unapproachable.
Well, a lot of times we're like, here's a spreadsheet and 2 pages of instructions. Like, fill it out.
Right.
You know, and for us, like we do this every day. It's not super overwhelming, but some people they never really handle the finances or they're busy. And they're just like, where am I even going to find this?
Exactly.
So it's just like
daunting.
it's bite sized. So it's like, do you have a bank account? Yeah, you do. Okay, where is it? You know, like here,
that's great.
put in the dollar amount. Open up your app. So yeah, I mean, you fill it out. It like creates the spreadsheet for you, shares it with the other person.
Amazing.
And then it walks you through like what the different options are. So it's like, oh, you have a house. Like, do you live there together? Okay, you do. So this might be a matrimonial home. Like, do you want to just like follow the law? Do you want like a credit for your interest or what your parents gave you or whatever? It just asks like these sort of yes or no questions and then tiers down from there. Okay, you said yes. All right, what are the details? You said no. Okay, we'll leave it.
So you get those answers generated and then you talk to each other about it. That was really the goal is everyone meets back together.
I love
you
it.
have a conversation. You say, okay, you know what? Our answers are not the same for spousal support or for excluding this asset.
Okay.
You have that conversation with each other. Yeah. And you say, you know what? I actually, you know what? Let's have a conversation. I agree with what you want to do. And we change the answer and make sure that it's in alignment. If they don't, you have an option to come talk to one of us.
That's what I was
Okay.
going to ask. Question.
So how does that work?
Ask a lawyer. You click a button and you'll have the opportunity to get involved in talking to a lawyer.
Push a button, ask for help, and we'll guide the conversation. Here's what this means. Like, what are you actually envisioning when you think of this term or this scenario? Like, what does that look like for you? We'll flush it out, guide the discussion.
Often just like a misunderstanding or
can be often,
misinterpretation of their rights or the laws.
And are you like, okay, one party is going to be getting information from you and one party is going to be getting information from you? Like, is it
This is where we do our legal magic.
Yeah, how does that work?
If it's one of us, because we are lawyers and owners of this platform, we're neutral mediators. So we'll work with both. And we'll sit down. It's like, the three of us, let's have a chat.
Okay.
Because we don't want to get into a conflict of interest. So yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
But also, if you do want your own lawyer, I mean, we obviously encourage that. It's like,
you will encourage it.
Yeah, of course.
Click here, and then we will direct you to the lawyers that we have agreements with who will sit down for half an hour with you or an hour. If you just want like that limited scope, someone to be in your corner for a short amount of time without asking you for a $2,000 retainer.
Well, that's exactly it.
We can connect you with those people. And then ideally it's like, oh, okay, yeah, we come back together and click the buttons to choose whichever option you've aligned on. 10 seconds later, you'll have an agreement.
Wow.
You'll
ready.
Sign it online.
You can sign it online. It takes care of signing.
Payments there done too. And
That's so brilliant.
So you can go through all this before hitting the paywall. So you can go all through and like teach yourself about the terms and everything.
Or you have to pay for it.
Yeah, you just don't get the agreement.
Okay, but you
you can work through, see if it's worth
generous.
it. Yeah. It's like by this point they're already committed. So it's like we're kind of thinking like
it's part of education too.
I think the idea is like is by that point they've maybe got some value out of it, and now they just want to see like, well, we've built this. Like, let's see what it actually looks like. I mean, all the other information is available online. I mean, there's spreadsheets online and stuff, right?
It's all in one place.
We're just sort of there in one place.
But you've really removed the barrier to access, barrier to entry.
Try to.
Yeah, making it more accessible. Yeah.
I think because people are so intimidated by going to lawyers because they're afraid of how much it's going to cost. Yeah. But this is a really approachable way.
Yeah. Well, we're super friendly, so if you still want
very friendly.
Still, like
don't be afraid of them.
The number of people who like show up on a Zoom call and they're like, I'm like, how you feeling today? They're like, I'm nervous. I never spoke. And so we joke around for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's just the idea of speaking to a lawyer is intimidating, either maybe because you perceive a status difference, or maybe like it's someone looking under the hood, at your finances, at your decision making, you're worried about feeling judged.
Yes.
So this is not like, we're not trying to like take away all the business, at least officially, we're not trying to take away other lawyers' business. We're really looking for the people who are not spending money on lawyers. They're pulling crappy templates offline, or they're doing their own thing.
Or they're not doing it at all.
Not doing it at all.
Yep. Or just putting it off because they don't want to pay the money and they really still want it though. Trying to fill a void.
And then if they do, let's compare. So let's say they do it themselves at the kitchen table and they sign it. They don't have ILA. They haven't gone through I Do Prenup. And then they get divorced. Does that agreement hold up?
Maybe.
I've seen so many shitty online documents.
Yeah, like they use ChatGPT to make their prenup, but then they didn't have any like legal counsel at all or advice. Then what happens?
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's a contract. People,
right.
Like, it doesn't. People think like, oh, I need you to make this a contract. It's like if two people shake hands and agree to something, that is a contract. It's just are the terms clear?
Right.
Or were the terms fairly negotiated? Did you both have that same understanding? Now you're arguing over the validity of that contract. That's the problem with these agreements. The chances of it, if challenged, of it being invalidated or set aside are higher. But if you have $0 now and you have $0 in the future, there's nothing to argue over. So it depends as well on the situation.
Yeah.
But if there's a, like if what I signed means I'm giving up, let's just say $1 million, I'm challenging that agreement.
Definitely.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
With whatever means you can.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
What do you have to lose in that situation?
Yeah.
So how long does it take? So let's say a couple gets engaged and they're all in their honeymoon stage and they're planning their wedding. How long does it take to do it through I Do Prenup?
Congratulations.
Okay. Oh, yes. Congratulations. We wish you a lifetime of happiness together.
Honestly, you could do it start to finish within a couple of hours. If there if there aren't any disagreements and everybody's got the information that they need, you really could do it pretty much while you're on the treadmill or on the Peloton, and you could finish it and have it signed. Yeah, couch. I want to be a little more active.
They're doing it in bed together.
Yeah. Sure. They could sit down, watch some TV and start having some conversations about it. But they could do it within a night if they really wanted to. Yep.
Yeah. So, okay, in your expert opinion, top 3 things that must be included in a prenup.
Number 1, I think, should we have a plan for a house or not? Okay. Number 2, should we have a plan for anything that isn't a house? Do I have a pension? Do I have a company? Do I have a family trust? Okay. And number 3 should be a conversation about work expectations, childcare expectations. And from that, should we make a plan about income? So spousal support.
Got it. Okay. Oh, that's
those
a nice
3
way of
things,
getting there.
You might decide, don't need a plan for the house.
Right.
Do need a plan for literally everything else.
Never have kids,
really just the house goes into the
Yeah.
bucket of property or assets. And then income wise, like, do we need, again, we might just want to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Or maybe it makes sense for us to to put some parameters on it now based on our mutual sort of understanding of how we expect the future to play out. I think those are the biggest things, other than like the obvious technical requirements of like, do your disclosure, like write it properly. You know what I mean? Like get it witnessed. Don't do it on the church or steps or, you know what I mean? Like, don't open up the risk that someone could say it was like, you're forced into it.
What is the like wildest prenup clause that you've seen? Like I've seen on like line where people put in weight clauses or like, a certain amount of kids and then they get more money or they get less money or if they can't have kids or what is the,
Infidelity clauses come up all the time. They're not valid.
They're not valid.
They're not valid.
Okay.
That's the thing with a no-fault system.
There's just no way.
You can't really blame. I guess that's the whole point of it.
It's a contract, right?
It is, but the terms are unenforceable just because like from a societal, philosophical, like policy standpoint, it's really tempting to be like, well, that's the person who cheated. So it's their fault. They've done something wrong.
Give me damages.
But there's so much nuance. Like often that's the thing, the big dramatic thing at the end that's pointed to. But then that person who cheated or whatever, like you talk to them and they're just like, they called me a worthless piece of shit for 20 years. And this was the only way I could get out.
Yeah.
To show to myself, to finally be able to like, I cheated. Now you will let me go. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, do we want to do that? Are we going to go back and audit everything? We can't do that. We're not set up for that. It's just like, let's just make sure everyone's okay and one of you doesn't end up on welfare and your kids have somewhere to live. You know what I mean? That's a rationale for the system. People generally understand that, but they still don't like the idea of paying their cheating spouse.
It's a tough one. That's fair.
You know, I get it. I'm with them. I'm with them.
I don't hate the argument, but
it's a good argument, but it's just
sadly
not a correct one.
But if you want a easy, quick prenup, go to idoprenup.com.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, you two.
Right. We're really excited
It's
about it.
very exciting. I'm excited for this. Is awesome. I think everyone should have a prenup because of this conversation.
Well, the best part about it is incredibly cost affordable. So
love it.
Take a look and you should be able to, anybody can get one.
It's brilliant. Do it. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
This episode was written and created by Alex Howard and Amanda Silver, produced, edited, and engineered by RTF Productions. Make sure to rate and review our show if you loved it, and give us a follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you stream your podcast to stay up to date on all upcoming episodes. Thanks for listening, and go easy on us. We're not your ex.